'Tis the season. We hear that. And by the way, we don't even talk like that. Who says tis? But 'tis the season for stories like A Christmas Carol or It's a Wonderful Life. You know those movies you haven't watched the rest of the year? And nor would we. Like, hey, it's May. I think we should watch It's a Wonderful Life. It doesn't even dawn on us to watch that movie at that time. But by the time December rolls around, we think it's mandatory. We have to watch It's a Wonderful Life or A Christmas Carol. And by the way, A Christmas Carol, you have many options for that one. There's so many different versions of that out there. If you don't like that Shakespearean thing, you can go Muppets. And you still have a version over there. I mean, it's a wide span for that story. But both of those stories are stories that present the question, what if? If you're familiar with either one of those movies or either one of those stories, it presents that question, what if? In the movie It's a Wonderful Life, George Bailey gets a chance to look at life without his involvement, and he learns that he is valuable and he is needed. And if you haven't seen that, I did not spoil anything for you. And if you haven't seen that, well, get on it. It's been out for a minute. You know, it's been out for many years, and it's a good movie. But he realizes that what's my involvement? What's my purpose in life and all of that? So he gets a chance to look at life without him in it, and he realizes that he does have value and that he is needed. In the story of The Christmas Carol, Ebenezer Scrooge gets to see that life can have a different outcome if he only changes the way he's involved in it. But both of these stories present the characters with a sense of purpose if they would just stop and consider the what if. Just take a second and consider the what if. George Bailey, consider life if you weren't part of it. What would that be? And Ebenezer Scrooge, everybody's familiar with that one, I'm guessing. Consider the what if. What if you went ahead and changed course? Could you just impact somebody else's life? Could you help somebody? Would there be value to your life if you did that? Today I want to take you to a similar scenario that took place in the nation of Syria thousands of years ago. And by the way, this isn't a very Christmassy scene. This isn't a Christmas message. It's just, I just started it with 2 Christmas movies. That's all. Now we can hang that up. Christmas is coming in 2 weeks, but we're going to put that to the side right now. In the book of 2 Kings, we're introduced to a man who he's not part of the nation of Israel at all, but he is being drawn by God. He's actually a Syrian. He's not part of, you open the Bible and you read an Israelite story, right? That's what we typically see as somebody in Israel. This guy isn't an Israelite, he's a Syrian. His name doesn't appear a lot in Scripture, but his story has an incredible impact. His name is Naaman, and I love Naaman's story. So let's just jump right into it. 2 Kings chapter 5 and verse 1. Now Naaman, commander of the army of the king of Syria, was a great and honorable man in the eyes of his master, because by him the Lord had given victory to Syria. He was also a mighty man of valor, but a leper. Okay, so you got this one issue, this one small detail in life. Naaman has prestige and honor in the eyes of his king. There's a friendship there. He's a man of valor and he holds a lot of respect. He just has a problem that nobody can help him with. He's got leprosy. And at that time, there is no cure. There's no way to help you with this. If you've got leprosy, you're carrying a life sentence or death sentence. That's it. It's over. He's walking around carrying this death sentence. And there's not a doctor that's going to help him. There's no place he's going to go. And life has changed for him. And everything can take on the appearance of negativity when something like this hits your life. It doesn't mean everything is negative, but it can take on that appearance. It's hard to get your mind to the positive when you get hit with something like this. But there's another person in this story who's also living in the picture of negativity as well. And I love this person's story in the middle of Naaman's story. It's a young girl who sees hope in spite of the pessimism. You've got a young girl, and the story doesn't focus on this young girl. It focuses on Naaman. This is Naaman's story. But there's a young girl that's in this story, and she's an impressive young lady. Naaman is without a doubt extremely discouraged. I mean, if you hear that you have leprosy and there's no cure for it, it bums you out a little bit. I mean, there's no way we can say he's doing fine. He's doing great. No, he's been hit with some heavy news here. And this young lady has a reason to be discouraged herself. Look at chapter 5 and verse 2. And the Syrians had gone out on raids and had brought back captive a young girl from the land of Israel. She waited on Naaman's wife. This young lady has been taken from her home and brought in as a slave in Naaman's home. So you've got this young lady. She might not be carrying a death sentence, but her life's still been taken from her. You know, she was an Israelite. She was at home with her family. Now she's been taken from her home and relocated, and now she serves in Naaman's house. So not necessarily a death sentence, but not living life either. You know, she's got a negative situation going on here. She's in a strange place serving people she doesn't even know. But she does have the opportunity to compare her situation with the situation of her captor. She sees where she's at, and she also knows about Naaman. Naaman lives in the same home that she now lives in. Well, at least he owns it. He owns the home. Because of his disease, there's no way he can come home because it's contagious. He doesn't want to spread that to his wife. If he has children, he doesn't want them to have leprosy. So he owns the house that this girl lives in, but maybe he doesn't necessarily live in it because he has to distance himself from his loved ones. So Naaman's wife now lives in a home with a girl, her husband kidnapped, and doesn't get to be with her husband. So this situation, this story only has potential of getting worse, right? So far, thanks for coming to church. It's going to bum you out, and have a good day. You know, that just seems like there's really man, that felt good to hear that today. It's just a dark story. It's just a very dark story. But this young girl does the unthinkable, and this is where the story changes. She expresses kindness to her captor. If you were to look at a hero in this story, I pick her for the hero every time. Even though her part in the story is almost done, I see her as the hero in this. Look at verse 3. Then she said to her mistress, "If only my master were with the prophet who is in Samaria, for he would heal him of his leprosy." This young lady presents us with the first what if in the story. She tells Naaman's wife about the prophet Elisha who lives in Samaria. There's a prophet that lives back over there. I know him. I know of him. I've heard the stories. It's a prophet that lives among the Israelites. If Naaman, who is a leper, who took me from my people, goes back there and visits Elisha, I believe he could do something for him. I believe he could help. This girl knew that Naaman needed to experience her God. Isn't that an incredible moment in the story? Sorry, if you take me from my family, I'm not really thinking about offering you kindness. Not naturally, that's not where we would go, right? I'm not going to just say, you know what, you've taken me from my life. I don't get to see my family anymore. I just want to give you something. You know, what can I offer you as far as kindness goes? We don't typically go that direction, but she does. And what she thinks is, he really needs to experience my God. So what if he went to see Elisha? What if Naaman just went to see him? Somehow she has the confidence that God would use Elisha to perform this miracle. I truly believe my God would do this for him. He's just got to go see the prophet. Naaman has nothing to lose, by the way. He's already losing everything. He's got nothing to lose. He's already got his death notice. You're a dead man. There's nothing we can do about that. His life is coming to an end, and there's no doctor anywhere to give him a cure. There's no hope for this guy. But he has a job, and he is loyal to his king. He's loyal to his master. So he seeks his master's approval. She says, this guy could help me, but I'm not just going to leave. I'm going to go talk to my king. Remember, this is a friendship. He's loyal to his king. So look at verse 4. And Naaman went in and told his master, saying, "Thus and thus said the girl who is from the land of Israel." Make a long story short, thus and thus is a good way to do that. Yeah, thus and thus, and then there it is. This must have been an interesting conversation when you lengthen it and imagine what that conversation would be like. Naaman's requesting permission to go to Samaria for the hope of healing. He's not asking to go to see a doctor. He's not saying there's a doctor there that might be able to help me. No, he's not going to see a doctor. He's asking to go see a prophet of a different God than the Syrians worship. I want to go see a prophet of the Israelites' God. I want to go talk to him. Do I have permission to do that, king? Can I go see, not a doctor, but a prophet of a God we don't serve? Can I do that? Also, no one's ever seen anything like this happen before. So the king's like, oh, because we've heard a lot of people being cured of leprosy? You know, the news is out there that this is happening all the time. No, this isn't. No one has ever seen a person healed of leprosy within this generation. Nobody alive at that time has ever seen it. And I know this because of a verse in the book of Luke. Look at this verse, Luke chapter 4 and verse 27. And many lepers were in Israel in the time of Elisha the prophet, and none of them was cleansed except Naaman the Syrian. So we know there's not exactly a line of stories. There's not like, well, this person says it happened to him, and this lady says it happened to her. Nobody else has had this happen. So this is an interesting conversation that's going on. This tells us that Elisha doesn't even have a history of doing this kind of thing. That's some incredible faith this young lady had. This young girl says, you got to go see Elisha. Why? Has he ever done this before? Never. He's never done this before. Is he a doctor? Nope. Why would I go see him? Because you've got to experience my God. What if? Just what if? What if you tried it? So Naaman entertains that thought and like, what if it would work? Goes and has this conversation with his king. A young girl had a confidence that God would do something amazing for her master if he would just go. Just go. All he had to do was listen to her. There's no evidence to give him that this is going to work. Nothing. Now he's having a conversation with his king about the what ifs, the hypotheticals. Let's talk about that, king. And the king does end up sending Naaman to Elisha, but he doesn't get the kind of welcome he's accustomed to when he gets there. We're going to jump a little farther ahead here so we can go on with this story here. Remember, he's a man of prestige. He gets to Elisha, and this is the welcome he gets. Look at verse 9. Then Naaman went with his horses and chariots, and he stood at the door of Elisha's house. And Elisha sent a messenger to him, saying, go and wash in the Jordan 7 times, and your flesh shall be restored to you, and you shall be clean. Naaman travels a long distance to meet this prophet, and Elisha doesn't even take the time to meet him personally. He's like, you couldn't get up off the couch and come to the door yourself? He sent a messenger. Naaman's at Elisha's door, and Elisha says, hey, go tell him to dip 7 times into the Jordan. He'll be good. He'll be good to go. That's it. That's all. That's the pomp and circumstance that this man of prestige gets when he goes to see this prophet. Remember, there have been many lepers in this time, but nobody's been healed. You know, we don't have the story of all these success stories. We don't have all that going on. Naaman listens to the faith of a young Israelite girl, and this is the response he gets in his obedience. I'm just going to go ahead and go and check this out. And this is the response he gets. Go down into the nastiest river in the area and wash your leprous sores in that. Thanks, Doc. You really don't seem to know what you're talking about. I have sores. Like, going down in dirty water probably isn't that. It's kind of a rub some dirt on it level. You know, like, oh my goodness, it's an open wound. Rub some dirt on it. You need a few more hours in medical school if that's your cure, is rub some dirt on it. Men, I just want to throw that out to the men. Dirt isn't always the best cure. I still tell them to do that, but still, it might not be the best cure. It sounds like horrible medical advice at the least. Go to the nastiest river in the area. Just go to that and go dip down in that 7 times and you'll be fine. Naaman has never experienced this kind of a miracle. Remember, nobody has. Up to this point, he's never even met Elisha. This is your first impression kind of thing. And now he's supposed to do this ridiculous act because a man behind the curtain said to. I don't even know what he looks like. He didn't even come out to meet me himself. I think we can all feel Naaman's frustration here. We would all be frustrated in this. Look at what Naaman thought he was going to experience when he met Elisha. He already had this vision. I'm going to meet him, and this is going to happen. This is how it's going to go. Look at verse 11. But Naaman became furious and went away and said, "Indeed, I said to myself, he will surely come out to me and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God and wave his hand over the place and heal the leprosy." He already played this out in his head. The guy's going to come out. He's going to call on God. He's going to do a little bit of this. And then I'm going to be healed. That's what I envision. And I knock on the door, and this guy says, "Go get in the nasty water. You'll be fine." That's all he gets. That's all he gets. But this is what he wants. This is what he's expecting to see. He thought Elisha would meet him, call out to God, perform some ritualistic act, and heal him. But Elisha didn't even pull out all the fancy tricks. He doesn't do any of that. He just keeps it simple. Obey the one thing I tell you to do, and you will be made whole. That's it. It's really simple. The only problem was that the one thing he asked him to do was out of the question. The Jordan River is not a nice river. It's a nasty river. Look at Naaman's response here in verse 12. "Are not the Abana and the Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Could I not wash in them and be clean?" So he turned and went away in a rage. There were other rivers Elisha could have told him to dip down 7 times into, cleaner water. To Naaman, this just seemed to be like an evil prank. Like, I came all this way, and you picked that river? Now you're just being a jerk. I'm going to take my open sores and down. You could have even picked a clean river, but you chose a dirty river. This just seems like a prank. Why did he pick the dirtiest river? Why didn't he even make the effort to come meet me personally? Where is all this? Why didn't I get anything I envisioned? Elisha just dropped one instruction on him and it was over. And now Naaman's mad. But this is where the story takes an incredible turn. And we're going to take another incredible turn because it's that what if. It's that what if that we're focusing on here. Naaman's servant has been watching Naaman the entire time. He's been part of this journey too. He would have known about the young lady in Naaman's home. Remember, he serves Naaman. He knows about the young girl. He saw the lack of Elisha's involvement. He didn't even meet me at the door. Yeah, I saw that too. He heard the instruction, and now he sees his master's rage. I see it all. Naaman's about to leave in the same condition that he arrived in. So the servant decides to speak up. And here's another hero in the story. Look at verse 13. "And his servant came near and spoke to him and said, 'My father, if the prophet had told you to do something great, would you not have done it? How much more then when he says to you, wash and be clean?'" Here's the what if that changes Naaman's life. The servant says, if he asked you to do something great, you would have had no problem doing something great. If he said, "Bring me the heads of my enemies," we would be heading out to battle right now, Naaman. You know we would. You know we would have done that. If he would have asked you for gold, we would be draining the treasury right now. If he asked you for something great, you would have done it. But he told you to dip into the Jordan River 7 times. In other words, the servant was saying, what if the girl was right? What if she's right? And what if the Jordan River will work if you'll just obey that simple command? But if it was something great, you know you would have done it. We've been there before. We've fought people. We've had victories. We've done this. And if he would have said, "Bring me the heads of my enemies," we'd be going to battle, and you know it. But just this simple task of going to the Jordan River, you're saying no. But what if the young girl was right? What if she was telling the truth? What if Elisha's God is the one true God? What if you just obeyed? It might just work. It may work. Naaman's servant was begging him to just obey. Just obey. What if they're right? Just obey. Just trust in this God and listen, because what if it's true? The reason Naaman is mentioned in the book of Luke is because he humbled himself in faith. He could have just left mad and preferred to find another option. He could have done that. But his servant's speech made a lot of sense to him. He's right. If he would have asked me to do something great, I'd be doing something great. He's just asking me to go down to the Jordan. So Naaman decides to submit. Look at what happens in verse 14. So he went down and dipped 7 times in the Jordan, according to the saying of the man of God, and his flesh was restored like the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. That day Naaman came out of the Jordan healthy and new. He got to experience the goodness of God. He met Israel's God. He found out that the young girl's heart was a reflection of her God. This is what your God's like? I did wrong and you're doing right? I kidnapped you from your people and you're showing me this kindness? That's a reflection of her God. And he follows and he obeys all the commands, even the nasty Jordan River situation. He obeys that, and then he finds out, okay, your God is the one true God. That young lady learned to love even when she was feeling low herself, because she knew her God. He learned that God only wanted him to trust and obey. That's all I want you to do. Just trust and just obey. He wasn't looking for perfection or status. Naaman had that, and he wasn't saying, I want that. Naaman became a believer because he just took a minute to consider the what if. He just took a moment and considered the what if. At the beginning of our service today, we had a baptism, and that was awesome. I love that we do that. Baptism doesn't make a person more saved or more righteous. It doesn't do that. It's just a picture of how Jesus already did that. Jesus did that at salvation. That's what happened. But it also shows you that the person getting baptized took the time to consider the what if. So I want to present you with a couple of what ifs for everyone to consider today. This is the what if for you. Look at Galatians chapter 4 and verse 4. But when the fullness of time had come, God sent forth his Son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those who were under the law, that we might receive the adoption as sons. What if the God of all the universe really did place himself in human form in order to save you? What if? Because some people don't believe this. It's just like, it's a nice Christmas story. We got the Santa version of Christmas, and then we've got the religious version of Christmas. They're both just good Christmas stories, right? But what if, just take a second, what if the God of all creation did place himself into human form in order to save you? Just take a second and consider the what if. What if you really are the object of his affection? What if he really does love you? Whether you're already saved or you're just considering, and I want you to contemplate this what if. Okay? What if? Your salvation isn't just some cosmic assignment. It was personal to him. He personally loves you. And he has a personal interest in you. You mean everything to God. Personally. A lot of times we think of God loving the world, but we don't think often God loving me. We kind of have that general, God loves the entire world, but what if he really does love you specifically? What if this God who created everything decided to place himself into human form in order to save you? What if? Just what if? You aren't just one person that helps make up a collective humanity. He loves you personally, and that's a fact. He does love you. And when you accept his offer of grace and salvation, it becomes even more personal. He doesn't just save you and leave you out there all alone. I promise you he doesn't do that. He moves in, and he stays with you, and he promises to never leave you nor forsake you. What if I'm having a bad day? He'll have it with you. He'll have it with you. What if I'm struggling with my security, like I don't feel saved? I did accept his gift. I asked him to save me. I asked him to come and be my Savior. I did all that, but today I'm not feeling saved. Well, here's some great news. It's not a feeling, it's a fact. You don't have to worry about whether you feel it or not. He will never leave you nor forsake you. It's very personal to him. It's very personal. And when you come upon those situations where you don't know the answer and you're afraid, because that happens in life too. I don't know what to do, and I'm afraid, and I'm struggling here. He does this right here. Look at 2 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 4. Who comforts us in all our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort those who are in any trouble with the comfort with which we ourselves are comforted by God. God isn't just out there somewhere. He is personally invested in who we are. He doesn't just save you and go ahead and mark that off the list. Oh, good, they accepted. Check, move on to the next person. No, he saves you, and then he says, it was all about you, and that's why I came in human form. It was all about you. Why would it not be all about you now that you're saved? So I'll be the God of comfort, and I'll be there to walk you through this. And even those doubts and those fears and everything you're going through, I'm going to go through it with you. He comforts you, and he reminds you that you're not alone. What if God was more than just an impersonal force out there somewhere? What if? What if? Sometimes even Christians forget how invested God is in their lives. We get busy in life. Things happen and we forget. We allow the circumstances of life to overwhelm us, and somehow God becomes the last resort. You know, when things really get hairy, we're going to call him. We're going to call on him. Like, God, I have not reached out to you since the last crisis, but I need to talk to you now. Sometimes that's how we treat him. But what if God was a friend who walked with you every single day? Naaman could have left Samaria angry, and he was about to. He was about to leave. But one servant asked him to consider the what if, and it changed his life completely. For those who are not saved, I'd like to ask you to take a minute to consider the what if. And maybe everybody here is saved. I don't know. But it might be something that you're considering in your life. Like, I just don't know where I stand with God. If my life were over right now, I don't know if I'd go to heaven or not. I really don't know. I've got some doubts. I'd like to ask you to consider the what if, just for a moment. Just consider it. What if it's true? What if God really did place himself in the human experience to die for your sins? What if it's true? What if Christmas isn't just a nice story about love, but it's a real event in order to reach you personally? What if it was a rescue mission, not just a Christmas story? Just contemplate the what if. And for those who have already accepted God's gift of salvation, what if it wasn't just a story about saving you, but a longing to live with you? A longing to walk together with you every single day of your life. Not just a get out of hell free card and like, hey, you won the prize and then move on. No, I'm invested in you personally every single day. What if? Just what if? What if it was about more than just church attendance and religious activities? He wants to be involved. He's your friend. He loves you. He's your heavenly Father. He loves you. So what if it was more than just salvation? Look at Philippians chapter 2 and verse 13. For it is God who works in you both to will and to do for his good pleasure. God knows what you need. He knows exactly what you need. And he knows how to help you grow and how you can best navigate yourself through this life. And because sometimes I don't even know how to do that. I don't know how to navigate myself, just basic directions, north, south, east, and west. I'm bad at that. But then the decisions in life of how do I go, what's the next choice, what do I do, what's right, what's wrong, sometimes I don't know, but he does. He does know. He's working in you. What would happen if people knew that God wanted a relationship with them personally? What would happen if they take that second, just that second, and consider, what if it's true? What if it's true? What if the stories were true about God who had placed himself in a human form to reach me? What if it's not just a story? What if it's true? What if he really can live within us to comfort and guide us? And he's a friend every day. And he walks with me every day. That would be incredible. And it is. It's incredible because it's not a hypothetical situation. It really did happen. All God is asking each of us to do is trust him and obey. It's your choice. He's not going to force you to do it, because love is always a choice. If you force somebody to love, you'll never get love, because you can't force love. Love cannot be forced. It has to be chosen. So he always leaves that choice, and you have the choice to accept or reject. But there is a personal God who wants to walk in a relationship with you. He doesn't want to just save you. He wants to walk with you every day. He wants to live and enjoy this life with you all the time. And I promise you, it's a wonderful life. I promise you, it's really amazing when you realize this is a relationship, not a religious experience. When I realized, wow, he is alive and well, and he really does work with me, in me, and through me, I don't have to wonder. He's really present. That's an amazing life. Look at Psalms chapter 16 and verse 11. You make known to me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures forevermore. This isn't just a God who hangs out in the sky looking down at us, and a lot of people see him that way. He's just the God in the sky that looks down on us, and when we do good things, he's happy, and when we do bad things, he's upset. Some of us have even taken it so far that he has a lightning bolt in his hand, and you may be a walking target. He's just ready as soon as you mess up. That is not our God. That is not our God. He doesn't do that. He is a loving God that's invested in you personally. There's no more punishment for sin. Jesus took it all. He took it all. He did all the work, and then he's asking you, I just want you to do the one simple thing. Will you just go ahead? And I know death is a horrible picture, but I'd like you to just surrender and let me place you into my death, my burial, and my resurrection, and give you that new life. That's all I want you to do. And you're like, that sounds nasty. Don't ask me to dip into that river. Don't ask me to do that one thing. It's a simple request. If God would have asked you to do something great, would you have done that? The problem is, the answer is yes. Because how many people are trying to work their way to heaven? They spend their whole life trying to work their way to heaven. Do something great in order to have it. You would have done that. Why? How do I know that? Because so many people are trying that. But he says, I just want you to do the one simple thing. I just want you to trust me, and I just want you to obey. That's it. He's a God who came down to us and gave his life to be with us. And that's a true story. That's a true story. It's not just a what if. It's a true story. He's a God who listens to you and longs to be listened to. It's a relationship. He wants that. What if it's not about religion? What if it really is about relationship? What if? Just consider the what if. What would happen if we all just took a minute and considered the what if on either side of this? Just consider the what if. It's not just a theory, it's reality. So I'm just asking you all to take a second to consider the what if, and maybe we can change the what if into a what is. Maybe we can do that. Christina, I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but I want to talk about you just for a second. October 30th was a what if. October 31st, the day you got saved, the what if became a what is. And it still is. And it's never going to change, because he'll never leave you nor forsake you. We really do have a God who wants a relationship with us. Not just to punch another, just like, all right, check, another one got saved. He's not just we're not going to get to heaven and see a bunch of marks on his wall. Another one got saved. That's like, what's that wall for? That's all I do. That's all I do. Somebody gets saved, I'm like, yes, that's all I do. That's my job. That's not what we're going to get when we get to heaven. No, what we're going to get, I truly believe with all my heart, is somebody that's so excited that you get to see him personally. And that's probably going to be a really long hug. Because it's not about religion. That's not what it's about. It's about relationship. So I want to ask everybody today just to consider the what if. If you're not saved, what if it's true? What if it's true Today is the day of salvation. And if you're already saved, I want you to consider, what if it's true? What if it's not just a salvation story, but it's a relationship story? Then get involved. Get involved. Today, I just ask you to consider the what if. Everybody in here can do that. And let's turn the what if into a what is.